let's go back. A little dream music as we look back at how the Warriors got it done. They were really good. We should put that at the bottom of the screen. 2 of the last 3 years, of course, up 3-1 in that in-between. Kevin Durant, I'd say that worked out well. Ended up being the MVP in the finals, was fantastic throughout the postseason run. And then it was a run in the offseason to bring the band back together again with one goal in mind, a chance at doing it over again.
I'm really confident that our guys will keep their edge. That's going to be the question and the challenge. You know, having been to the finals 3 straight years, which is an amazing accomplishment, but it takes a lot out of you, emotionally, physically. So part of the challenge is, you know, keeping the edge, keeping the focus, and preparing and almost pacing ourselves at the same time. It's an interesting balance.
This year, you got everyone saying, "Oh, the Warriors are the best thing since sliced bread," and like, they're the reason for all this uproar, and I mean, they're going to win the next 3 or 4 or 5 championships. You can let that set in mentally. And so I don't expect us to be where we were at the end of last year, focus-wise, you know, as far as locked in. But we need to try to get as close to that as we possibly can. And I think if we get to as close as that as we possibly can, I think we'll be just fine.
We know what the bar is when it comes to, you know, being a championship winning team, but there are going to be totally different challenges when it comes to the competition. The landscape of the league is different. You know, how injuries can play into your season. So just being ready for anything. For us, we have to, it's very, very, very cliche, but you got to just, you know, stay in the moment, because nothing in this league is guaranteed, and you can't take it for granted.
I think it's about us. We can't get complacent. If we stay hungry and healthy, which is obviously a big question mark when you play so many games, but if we do those 2 things, I think it's in our favor to go back-to-back in 3 and 4 years. So that would be an amazing feat, and that's what our sights are on.
One of the reasons everybody's so confident about the Warriors' chances again, gentlemen, is all the little things that they do. In addition to all of the talent and the shooting, the loose balls, the energy, the deflections. And as we look ahead to their opportunity to repeat, I tell you why I feel confident. Our great, stupendous researcher, Kevin Cottrell, puts together for us for these notes key subtractions, and it says James Michael McAdoo. Now, with no offense to James's family, that's when you know, Zeke, things are going good. But both of you guys know how difficult it is. You repeated, had an opportunity, have been through that before. What's the toughest part about having done it now, trying to go and do it, Zeke, again?
I mean, we went to 3 straight NBA finals. You went to 4 or 5. And I mean, for us, it was always about health and can you stay healthy? And, you know, Klay Thompson said something. He said, can we be hungry and healthy? I think they'll be hungry. The key is, can they stay healthy?
Yeah, I agree. I think health is such an issue. You know, our biggest obstacle wasn't health, it was the Lakers. And so it was hard to get rid of them. But, yeah, you got to stay healthy. And it does take a lot out of you. You know, I mean, you put a lot into it. When you win an NBA championship, it's 90% relief that you don't. I mean, you've played so hard, and 10% jubilation that you're so excited you did. But 90% is like, oh, thank goodness we did that, man, because I am exhausted. I'm tired. It's been a long season, and I need some rest. So keeping their edge, and I do think they will keep their edge. They're talented enough. They're deep enough. They play a style that allows them to have such success in the regular season. You know, they'll be ready to go. How healthy are they in the playoffs?
Both of you went through is keeping a nucleus and a core together, which has to make it easier, right? You're not in a situation like, let's say, Boston is in this year with so many new pieces. How important was that, Zeke, for them to go out and to bring the band back together from Iguodala to Livingston all the way to Pachulia? I mean, really outside of even JaVale came back.
Yeah, and that's what a championship team wants. You want another opportunity to stay together and do it again. And you always appreciate management when they do that for you, to give you the opportunity. I think Golden State's going to have a huge edge this year, Mac, because, you know, when you look at training camp and you look at the lack of preparation time, you look at the lack of practice time, the teams that have been together for a while know what to do, know how to do it, play calling, system, so forth and so on. The first 20 to 25 games, you have a huge advantage.
Yeah.
In Golden State, the first 25 games out of the box, they're going to have a huge advantage over the rest of the league because of the lack of practice time that's taking place for the rest of the league. Right
You know, the other thing was, despite how great Kevin Durant is, it's amazing because we sat here a year ago, right? The three of us, what are we talking about, Matt? We're talking about, well, how's KD going to fit in? Fit in pretty darn well. What do you expect now in year 2? It's crazy to say he could get better with this group, but can he be more comfortable now with this group?
Yeah, he'll be more comfortable. You talked about keeping the band together. And what they were able to do is what we were able to do in Boston a little bit. We added Dennis Johnson in '84. We added Bill Walton in '86. You add a piece to your team that really just helps it. Last year they added KD. He had a great year. He was so efficient. His defense improved. I mean, he was as good as I've ever seen that guy play as efficient. This year, he's going to be more comfortable in the system. And as Isaiah just said, that first 20, 25 games, man, you hope you don't have them 2 or 3 times. I hope we have them later when we can get some rhythm because they're going to come out. They're going to come out on fire and come out, playing their style of basketball, which they've perfected.
Now, I've got 2 tough guys here on my desk. I'm neither of those 2. How much would you have loved to play with a Draymond Green? I would assume knowing you, Zeke, he's up near the top of the list of guys you'd like to be with because of how he sets the culture for this team.
Yeah, he definitely could have played for us with the Detroit Pistons because, he's a defense-first guy. His attitude, in terms of competitiveness, competition, he goes out, he competes, he guards 1 through 5, and he never backs down from a challenge. But most importantly, Mac, he'll say what needs to be said in the huddle and also in the locker room. He will have that uncomfortable conversation. And we saw it early last year with Kevin Durant. When Durant first came, Draymond was the one who was getting in his face like, hey, you got to set that screen or we got to do this. This is how we do it here. So he's the perfect complementary player for the superstars that they have.
Yeah, he screamed, move the ball at KD last year. And KD kind of looked at him like, man, you love to play with a guy like that because he's about winning. And, he might go out there one night and have 8 points, but he might have 12 assists and 13 rebounds, lock down the other team's best offensive guy. The next night he might have 20, but I don't think he cares about that. I mean, he really is a really well-rounded basketball player and was Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, but I tell you what. Yeah. He's too small to guard me now.
You knew that was coming, right?
But what was that game you called last year? He almost got the quadruple double. Was you calling that game? Yeah, where he missed it by 1, but didn't even go for it?
No, he didn't even go for it. As a matter of fact, he sat out at the end of the game where he could have gone.
Well, they were probably up by. They were probably up by 30 at that point. By the way, how good is this team? One of the greatest shooters of all time. Klay Thompson doesn't even make it in the first segment. Great things about what happened, guys, with KD last year is just how well he fell into place. And one of the reasons is, Matt, when you look at the way they move the ball, even for you guys who have won championships, how impressive, and show us what makes it so impressive the way they move the ball.
Well, because they all play together, they play well, and they got a rhythm to their game. And they have a bunch of different sets that they run, and they feature different people. Like there are times in certain sets where you'll see like on the weak side spread. Look at this right now, into the second screen and roll. And you're going to throw it back here and watch KD just lift to the open spot. You see Green, KD just goes to the open spot, simple pick and roll basketball. And right here you have the 2-man game with Curry and Thompson spread on the weak side with KD. Now look what happens. Klay Thompson sets the screen, stands there, and gets a wide open 3 just by ball movement. And this is their second unit. I love this play because watch what Wes does. Wes goes down to look at Thompson for a screen, sees he's being guarded by Tyus Jones, 5'9". What does he do? He goes up to the free throw line and just gets a back door. And I say, it's the recognition of what they do. How good are you when you have Draymond Green and you have Klay Thompson and Steph Curry and your spacer is Kevin Durant? You say, go stand in the slot and maybe some good things will happen for you. I mean, it really is pretty amazing.
Yeah. Zeke, as somebody who knows it and understood and did it at a Hall of Fame level in terms of moving the ball, what impresses you most, and how much would you have loved to play in a group so unselfish?
Well, when you watch their style of play, and at Indiana, when I played with Coach Knight, we ran what we call passing game, and it was read and react. And the way he described playing the game was with perfect randomness.
Yeah.
It's you don't want to play against a coach that comes down and say, okay, well, they're going to set a ball screen over here, then this guy's going to come up. He wanted you to always have the ability to read, to go right, to go left, and then it was read and react, and your teammates played with you. So the perfect randomness that Golden State plays with, that comes from great team chemistry and also from great coaching.
And also a willingness to move the ball. I mean, sometimes I just got the ball here, and sometimes me just throwing it back and setting a pin down opens everything up for everybody. They're all willing to make the extra pass, and they're willing to make the non-threatening pass. I'm throwing it back out to the top of the key. I'm going to set a pick down on Isaiah. I don't know what's happening behind me, but it starts they might go the weak side. That guy might be driving in for a layup. Well, we're setting our two-man game over here. It's an unselfishness and a willingness to move. They're really impressive.
And you know what it eliminates? It makes it very difficult for coaches and players to come into the locker room and say, okay, well, here's the scouting report. This is what they're going to do. You really are walking out onto the floor saying, hey, let's just try to, concentrate on our defensive principles and stay locked in, because you don't know what's getting ready to happen.
Now, what happens to the scoring averages of Isaiah Thomas and Kevin McHale if you're in this offense?
Oh, no, it's not about the scoring average. It's about the winning average.
Yeah.
It's like, we go from winning 53 games to where they at now, winning 67 games. And we're in the locker room like, what's happening, man?
So you're saying it's all about championships?
It's all about championships and winning.
And it also is about fun, too, because I played on a team, our Celtics team, we moved the ball like crazy. The ball popped, and it was fun. Like, you'd run down the floor after having a phenomenal offensive set, you'd be like, dang. Like, you're looking at you like, how about that? Because we had people twisted around and falling down, and everybody's passing. And it's a joy in playing that style. And it's about winning, like Isaiah said. And numbers, honestly, numbers be damned. You're going to go out there, and numbers are going to be numbers. But how many wins do you collect and how many championship rings do you put on?
One thing we know in today's NBA, shooting the three is going to help. I would say the Warriors are doing it quite well. When you look at the list of consecutive seasons with 200-plus made three-pointers, and the top two, maybe the best shooting pair to ever play together at the NBA level. Guys, we know that from a coaching standpoint for both of you, three-pointers have changed the game. How do the Warriors, outside of just the personnel, Zeke, use it so effectively?
Well, I think what they've done better than any other team ever playing is they've normalized the distance in terms of shooting a three-point shot. And not only have they normalized it from this range, but they got two to three guys now who shoot it extremely effectively from 3 to 4 feet behind the three-point line. And, traditional defense, there's no defense that had been designed to defend out that far.
Agreed.
And those two guys, particularly, Curry and Thompson playing together, what they were able to do in terms of stretching the defense, and when we talk about the evolution of the game, that's been the evolution in terms of the normalization of the acceptable long-range three-point shot, because anything beyond that three-point line used to be considered a bad shot. With these two guys now,
it's like layups.
The distance they shoot it from, has normalized it. Not only has it normalized it, but it's inspired the league and also college players, high school players to start shooting from that distances. And you got to give Coach Kerr, Mark Jackson before that, you got to give those coaches credit for allowing those two guys to shoot it from that greater distance. And it's really spread the floor and stretch the defense.
Yeah, when they go to their kind of small lineup, when they have Green and KD at the 4 and 5, everybody's spread. So it might be a three-man game going over here with dribble hands off. But they're spread on the weak side. They're out beyond the three. The court is so spread for that team.
Yeah,
and
they over here.
Exactly. They're way over there. And all of a sudden, that guy, I make a small drive. I suck his man in. I'm throwing it over there, and it's wide open. And Isaiah's going to shoot that shot. So their spacing is phenomenal. Their spacing allows them to take and make a high percentage of the threes that they get.
And by the way, Kevin Durant's your size.
No kidding. Yes.
Which is amazing. We're wrapping all of our NBA TV team previews with a game we call More or Less. So, gentlemen, more or less than 67.5 wins, Zeke?
I'm going to go with the 67.5. I think that, no, I'm going to go 66. I'll go 66.
You going under?
Yeah. I'll go under.
Okay. I'm going 70.2 wins. They're going to have like this. No, I'm going with 70 wins. I really think this team can break the 70 win mark. When I tell you 70-12 is ridiculous, that's a ridiculous record, but this team's capable of doing that.
In the last 3 years, they haven't been lower than the 67. So you're saying this year they break this? Why lower?
Well, 67.5 just.
Well, you could say 67 would have been lower. Not 66.
Okay, well, I go 67.
Sorry, Zeke doesn't like the Warriors. We'll see you. We've got.
Zeke loves the Warriors.